And it's our absolute honor and pleasure to have His Honorable Minister Tom Aluwendo, Minister of Mines and Energy from the Republic of Namibia, to be joining us and giving us this keynote speech. Your Excellency, please join us.
Good morning. Are we all having a good day? I mean, it's still early in the morning. Okay, Your Excellencies, this setting, I don't know where should I look. Do I look this side or I look this side, or where do I look at the back here? So let me just say good morning to all of you, and I'm happy that there is a keen interest to hear what is happening in Namibia. So let me just start to say, look, we are once again gathered here in Cape Town. For the last couple of years, we've been gathering here to discuss energy matters pertaining to our continent. And for that, I really just want to commend the Africa Energy Chamber, NJ, and your team for really making this possible. Every year seems to be getting better and better. But before I continue with my remarks, I would really like us to remember and also to pay tribute to one of Africa's luminaries, a trailblazer for innovative ideas, ideas that are now standard fare. As you know, on the 4th of February this year, we lost our larger-than-life president, His Excellency Hage Geingob. And today, Namibia is known for its ambitious green hydrogen strategies simply because of his innovative visions for our country. He was really an epitome of a dealer in hope, and we're still struggling to come to terms with how to proceed without his wise counsel. May his spirit encourage us to fulfill his dreams, and that dream of the Namibian house, where no one feels left out. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the time for Africa to leverage its strategic energy potential has really arrived. We have been talking about this for far too long, but I think the time has now arrived. Our vast natural resources places the continent in a very advantageous position, not only to decisively deal with the energy poverty on the continent, but to also play a very critical role in global energy markets. We can equally position ourselves as a meaningful player in the energy transition and sustainability efforts that we know we ought to be concerned about. According to a recent study by Bloomberg, Sub-Saharan Africa alone offers a $193 billion renewable energy investment opportunities. And the continent's abundant solar and wind resources could make it a key net exporter of clean energy, critical for the energy transition. And therefore, Africa is now also showing realistic potential as a candidate for green hydrogen production. Today, you have several African countries, notably ourselves, Namibia, Morocco, Egypt, for example, and also South Africa, that have developed and adopted clear green hydrogen strategies, and with some of them already developing projects to produce and use the hydrogen in their own industry and also export that hydrogen. It is also estimated that the continent holds 7% of the world's oil reserves and 7.5% of natural gas reserves. Now, while these reserves make Africa a major player in fossil fuel markets, the continent's gas reserves are particularly valuable as a transitional fuel to cleaner energy. Africa also holds substantial reserves of critical minerals necessary for renewable energy technologies, with for example, the Democratic Republic of the Congo controlling over 60% of global cobalt production. And also several Southern African countries possesses lithium and copper. That is also essential for electric vehicle batteries and solar panels. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with this huge energy potential, Africa has a real opportunity, I think, for us to foster industrialization and also to improve the livelihood of our citizens. In the process, addressing the acute unemployment and inequality on the continent. We really have a cannot miss it opportunity to provide electricity to our people, the 600 million we always refer to, those without electricity, thereby improving their livelihood. What about the investment that is required? In order to materialize this huge potential, the continent needs to attract the requisite investment. And multinational institutions such as the World Bank, the UN, and the IAE, for example, have all called on developed economies to provide front-end investment in Africa renewables infrastructure. However, as we know today, these funds have not been forthcoming as we have expected. The IAE estimates that between now and 2030, it will take more than $200 billion per year for Africa to achieve the energy and climate goals of its Sustainable Africa scenario. Yet, despite a rise in global clean energy investment everywhere else, in recent years, only around $25 billion flowed to the African continent. Now, given that the continent represents 20% of the world's population, and that figure is expected to rise to 25% by the year 2050, over time, Africa will need even more investment in order to meet its growing energy needs. Now, for us to attract more investment, we need to have policies that are creative enough in order to incentivize the required investments on the continent. And unlike the global north that is able to provide fiscal incentives for some of this investment, we are unfortunately not in a position to offer such. Our only choice is to offer our people good policies, especially in terms of policy consistency and also in terms of issues that deals with permitting. However, in the course of us attracting this investment on the continent, let us also avoid strategies that may sacrifice rational economic decisions for ourselves just because we want to gain competitive advantage of others. This, I think, will be counterproductive and may not fully address the needs of the African citizens. There is therefore a need for a collaboration among all of us as African countries at some level. The other issue is that to do with energy transition. And this is the issue that may derail the African energy potential. Unfortunately, lack of investment in African renewables is just one side of a tarnished coin. The global north, for example, is cajoling Africa to embrace the energy transition as if one can simply flip a switch. And at the same time, they are also discouraging investment in African fossil fuel development. They are even going as far as discouraging investment in natural gas production that is found in abundance on the continent and considered as green and also as a transitional energy source. This is not for me to criticize the passion of climate activists, because climate impacts are real. We have seen that yesterday when there were some climate activists who say, no, they say, look, they want climate justice. We also want to have climate justice. It's just that we define climate justice differently. The message I really want to drive home is that it is certainly right, and I dare say fitting for Africa to manage the effect of climate change, while also addressing energy poverty by using all our natural resources that we have. It is equally interesting that even Western nations that are far ahead in the renewable race don't rely on them as a single source of energy. For example, 60% of electricity generated in the US comes from fossil fuels, and mostly natural gas, while 21% and 18% are from renewables and renewable energy, or nuclear energy rather, respectively. And therefore the fact is this: natural gas is simply more reliable than other forms of energy, at least as measured by capacity factor. Asking us to ignore natural gas is essentially requesting that Africa ignore half its power capacity. It is a declaration that Africans deserve half the energy we need, half the standard of living we need, and half the safety of their Western peers. And that cannot be acceptable. That is not equitable at all, and those that are propagating that notion cannot be seen to take the interests of the Africans seriously. Capitalizing on Africa's natural gas resources is about more than just enhancing power capacity or addressing electricity shortages. It is a means to build industrial capacity and also to revitalize African economies, lifting people from poverty and energy scarcity. And let's not forget this. Thus far, no nation globally have ever achieved industrialization solely through wind and power energy. Those that are now industrialized today, and therefore with sufficient financial capability, are in a better position to finance their energy transitions. And for us, we must be in the position to drive our energy transition initiatives by using what we have now to achieve what we envision for our future. And to make a U-turn on this theme and this objective is really, I think, in my view, a risky and an untenable proposition for us. You are probably now thinking, hey, this guy is just talking about this. When he's going to come talk about Namibia? We are here to hear about Namibia. So let me go to Namibia, what it is we have in Namibia. When all is really said and done, I think it's only really logical for African nation to safeguard our socio-economic advantages from ongoing oil and gas operations. And that is exactly what we are doing in Namibia right now. We are doing so by ensuring that our policies are geared to encourage the needed investment, and at the same time, our policies are designed such that they incentivize the building of inclusive economic and political institutions. We are keenly aware that factors like stable economies, transparency, and efficient legal frameworks significantly influence investment decisions. And I can here say that we are committed to ensuring that these conditions continue to exist in Namibia. It is our undertaking that in our quest to provide a conducive environment for investment in Namibia, it is important that we forge an effective collaboration with you as potential investors and all our industry stakeholders. This is the only way we can continually improve the investment landscapes, and not only is sustainable, but that is also mutually beneficial between us as stakeholders. It is our view that the collaboration is bearing the desired outcomes, and I really want here to thank all of you, the investors that are currently working with us in our oil and gas sectors. Our commitment to you is that in us you have a dependable partner. Except in return, we ask this. We ask that you ensure that you earn your license to operate in our country. And in my definition, a license to operate is where really you have to, as investors, offer us, present to us your manifesto as to how you want to operate in our country. And that manifesto needs to indicate how you intend to make life better for the Namibian people. And also we would like you to really immerse yourself as a corporate member of that community and to see how you can contribute to the broader advancement of the well-being of that community where you are going to be operating. A key element of how we want to manage our oil and gas industry is that of local content. And in this respect, we are instituting broad policy tools that promote the creation of domestic businesses and the employment of Namibians. The end goal of this local content policy is really just to spread the wealth of generated by these natural resources, the oil and gas, to make sure that they are equitably distributed among all the Namibians. As I conclude my remarks, I am convinced that Africa's future really looks brighter than before. The potential for growth in our energy sector is unprecedented, and as we look to that future, we call on all stakeholders, whether being government, being businesses, or being community leaders, to embrace this challenge in front of us. We need to build an African energy sector that is not only economically robust, but also environmentally responsible. I want to end with a quote, an African quote that says, or proverb rather, that says, "Move like a chameleon, keep one eye on the past and the other on the future." Thus, we need to reflect on who we are and where we have come from, and at the same time, be aware of the global trends that will continue to shape our economic development on the continent. Our past must therefore serve as a lesson and the future as a goal. Again, lastly, I want to commend the Africa Energy Chamber for your dedication and really persistence in progressing the African energy agenda. And I'll really thank you and then look forward to see you all in Namibia, not only because of what I said here, but maybe because of what I didn't say, for you to come and have a look at what's happening. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And we're all looking forward to coming to Namibia and seeing these great opportunities and perhaps discovering what you didn't say for ourselves. And as you mentioned, Minister, there is a path forward where investment happens in transition projects and the upstream sector, and this is very important to move in parallel. And no African state is in denial of climate change. And to further explore these opportunities in Namibia, I'd like to invite the Africa's Chamber, Werner, to please join me on stage and introduce his panel from policymakers and major stakeholders in Namibia. Werner, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Amina. We have a huge panel, so I don't think I'm going to call everybody at the same time. Sorry, at individual times. I'll just call everybody to come up, please. I can see my panelists. Maggie, I can see you. I can see Robert. I can see Marcio. Please, you know yourselves. Epson, Selma, Peter, TGS, Tariq. I haven't seen Tariq the whole time, but maybe I see you now. Cohen, are you here? Yep, exactly. And is Chanak here? Not sure Chanak is here today. Selma? Sorry about that. That's fine. Hi. Thank you so very much, everybody. I don't think I've seen you before. Roland. Hi, and Roland. from Sirius, of course. Thank you so very much. Thank you, everybody. Hello. You can see we have a huge panel here. And that is certainly due to the importance that Namibia has at the moment when you're talking about oil and gas and energy. Maggie, what's wrong? Why are you leaving my side?
She needs to be close to me.
Oh, okay, that's fine. You look great. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much to my panel. Thank you to everybody for being here. Your Excellency, you left us with quite an interesting saying. It says, move like a chameleon, keep one eye on the past and focus on the future, which gives me significant food for thought and all of us. You know, keeping an eye on the future in that sense, I'd like to start with Maggie, Petroleum Commissioner, to sort of give us a sense of where we are. I know that at the moment we have drilling going on, Total again doing another exploration well, Azul is going to be quite busy later, Chevron as well. So it's going to be quite a busy end of year for yourself, but would like to hear from you as to what is actually currently going on and what is the outlook for the sector in the very short term.
Thank you very much, Werner. Well, good morning to you all. It's a pleasure for us to be here. A lot is going on in Namibia, and if we are to give a true picture in terms of what is happening, the time will not be sufficient, but we'll do justice to what we have to do. As you are aware, with the discoveries that have been made in Namibia, a lot of work has been ongoing in country for us then to just bring or add value to that discovery and for us to know where we are in terms of the timing for FID and for us to be in production. So what we have been doing and what going on right now is that we are coming to the tail end of the appraisal campaign, both for Total and Shell. All this work is really now at an advanced stage, and we are just left with the analysis of the data for us then to determine the commerciality and hopefully being able to make FID by next year. Our plan as a country is to forge ahead and be in production as early as 2029, but that date has been also been advanced in terms of by the discoveries of Gulf.
So did I hear well? I heard all of that. So when do we expect first oil?
First oil is expected 2029.
Okay, 2029.
But there's a caveat. There's a caveat. With the discoveries that have been made by Gulf and with us now, Gulf just spudded their first appraisal well. The race to the date for first oil, whether it's going to be 2029, whether it's going to be early, have just been changed. So depending on the result of what we're going to see with the Mopane complex, it is now a tight race between Shell, Total, and Gulf in terms of who is going to get us the FID quicker and who is going to get us to first oil much quicker. But in addition to that, to what we are doing also, with the discoveries, it has brought a lot of information and a lot of insight into the exploration and the subsurface of Namibia. And that has then brought the impetus of us being able to bring forward the prospect that we see in the Chevron block and also the upcoming drilling that is going to be done by Azul and Rhino Resources, all within this quarter of the year. While we are doing that, the result also with the light crude oil has also increased the volume of the gas that we are seeing within the basin. And so therefore a new life has been pushed into the Kudu gas field. And we are now as a country looking at the prospectivity in terms of the gas potential for the country and the means for us to be able to valorize this gas as a total product out of the full Orange Basin, working with it, with all the license holders, so that we can see how we can add value. We are looking forward for the Lüderitz port to be the hub for energy activity in Namibia. And we are also, with the provenance study and a lot of multi-client surveys that have come, we are reprocessing all the data that we have in Namibia, both the deep, ultra deep water, and all the data that we have acquired, so that we can see what else we have missed. The signatures, just while I'm finishing, the signatures that we have seen of the deep water basin fan have demonstrated themselves that they are visible both in the Lüderitz, in the Valfes, and also the Namib. And this has also been complemented by the provenance studies that we have done with the Namib going down, that the potential for Namibia is just amazing.
Don't we just love races, you know, in terms of Total, Shell, Galp, whoever is going to come on earlier? But if you ask any of them, and I can see some friends here from all of those companies, nobody's saying anything, so we're hoping for a scoop from yourself. But ultimately, I'm not sure you're going to answer that. I want to move on to Epson. And NAMCOR, which you lead as interim managing director, plays a very important role in that sense in the industry. Are you looking at NAMCOR actually moving out just to be in partnership, or also to play a leading role as an operator itself?
Thank you very much, Werner. Maybe before I answer that question, I have to put a bit of the context.
Okay.
A couple of years back, say like 6 years back, we were just guessing whether is a sufficient hydrocarbon in Namibia. Now it has been fully established that the country has got a huge volume of hydrocarbon. Almost every second well or third well that will be drilled, there is a huge potential of getting sufficient deposits and volume of hydrocarbon, which is both oil and gas. So looking really at that perspective and looking at the future as a national oil company, we see ourselves and positioning NAMCOR to play quite a very critical role. Our role, we do not only want to limit ourselves in terms of the impact that we are making into the economy, to limit ourselves to oil and gas, but we see ourselves to play quite a very catalytic role in terms of ensuring how to put the necessary policy into place in conjunction with the ministry to ensure that we have got the necessary regulatory framework into place, we have got the right policy into place. We are making sure that jointly with the ministry, we play that critical role to be able to attract the right partners, particularly the oil majors, to come into the economy, as we are an open economy and we are willing to work with everyone who will really be helping us to exploit this resource. And obviously, we know that this is not something that we have done it before. We have prepared our people in terms of skills, but in terms of the practical application, we know that we have got a bit of a long way to go. But our sense is that within 10 to 15 years, working with the partners that we have selected, we should be able to join operatorship. We do not just want to be a passive participant, but our promise is that at least between 10 to 15 years, we should gain the operatorship to operate as a national oil company, and possibly some of the marginal fields we will start taking over ourselves and to do operations in some of those fields. So that's how we see the future.
I mean, I think it's pretty much clear. 10 to 15 years timeline in terms of operatorship. Picking up from the point, from what you were saying, it was pretty much clear you are looking basically to be a partner to the right kind of big boys, let me put it that way. And that brings me to Robert. I mean, the story of Namibia is also the story of the success of the smaller boys in terms of keeping the light on the torch when everybody was saying, what's there? I mean, only Marcio was saying there's something there. And
you don't need the big boys.
Exactly.
You need the courage.
Exactly.
Namibia will be Nancora will be operating in 2 years.
Okay.
We don't have time.
We'll hold you to that. But Robert, I mean, if you look at your stock price, it's, kind of like, it's an amazing story in itself. Over the last year, more than doubled and all of that. Made a lot of money for you guys. But the question becomes, is Namibia going to continue being a place where the smaller guys are also comfortable operating? What do you think?
So let me just start, Werner, by saying thank you very much to you and to the Energy Chamber for having us this year, and just thrilled to participate. I hope the answer is yes. I think, as you alluded to, it has been small operators and local companies that have really driven the success we see in Namibia today. We can think of any number of examples where local companies have taken over licenses or gotten licenses and really held the flag for long periods of time when people wanted to leave or were kind of second guessing staying in country, and I think that's played an absolutely critical role in where we are today, and I hope that certainly continues. It's critical. When I think about what we are trying to do at Sintana, in its simplest, our job, our objective, and our desire is to maximize the impact of how we deploy our resources. And those resources are both financial and non-financial. And it's just been absolutely fantastic in Namibia to be able to coalesce on-the-ground resources to create an opportunity for realization and participation at a local level. A great example of that is in conjunction with an investment we made in Giraffe Energy, where we're partnered with Namcor. We were able to take some of the equity in that license and put it in a community trust. And so I think what we are trying to do is to think about what are the things that we can do, what are the things we hope we can do well, which is to identify opportunities to deploy high impact capital and expand and amplify their impact. And so I think that is an opportunity that small companies have and can continue to play. And I think going forward, it's going to get harder. It's tough keeping up with the majors, let alone keeping up with people.
Because of the attention that Namibia is seeing?
Yeah, and it's getting crowded very quickly. Everybody wants to be there for all the reasons we've heard.
Are you still getting appointments with Maggie, or you're being pushed to the back?
I'm way at the back. But hopefully the fact that at least together with our partners in Namibia, we've been there for a long time, gives us a little bit of traction in the market, but it's getting to be a busier, more crowded, high-demand place. As your opening comments alluded to, I sort of joked with Maggie, it's not a global hotspot, it is the global hotspot. And so the question is, among the various challenges we have, is how do we ensure full participation for small companies that provide access and opportunity for the domestic market and domestic residents and citizens to participate in what is going to be explosive growth.
Thanks for that and bringing it to, the citizenry in that sense. I'll go to Selma, CEO of Reach Africa Consult. We've heard, about what some of the majors are looking at on the regulatory side. We've also heard what Robert has been saying. But what do you ultimately think that the impact is, or is going to be, or is expected with respect to local companies and entrepreneurs like yourself?
Thanks for having me, Werner, NJ. As an advisor to the industry, local content is just the right thing to do. It's nothing new. It's been done all over the world. It's been done Brazil, the Middle East,
Which
Africa.
kind of local content?
What do you mean, which kind of local content? Value-adding local content across the entire value chain. It's very important to have context. This journey started a long time ago. And since 1990, we believed, since the independence of our country, we believed there was potential for a discovery of oil and gas in Namibia. And fast forward to the future, here we are. It's been very intentional, even in our national energy policy, that local content is going to be key to unlocking the potential of the industry, to ensuring that it is a catalyst for shared growth and prosperity in Namibia. I mean, it is great to be here in the room, you know, with the key decision makers. But as we are a nation of 3 million people, there's economic inequality in our country, right? We're strategically positioned in the SADC region to not only to cater to our own energy needs, but to the region. We can be the next energy hub in Southern Africa. The only way to do that is to collaborate through strategic partnerships between international oil companies, our local companies, and also ensure that Namibians participate across the entire value chain.
Are we seeing Namibians participate?
Of course.
Are we seeing those
As
contracts
Sintana
come
Energy,
through?
didn't they just give 80% to community trust, right?
Yeah.
Those are great examples. We have companies like service companies like SLBs. They are, you know, they're empowering and training young Namibians to participate in the industry. We have Namibian entrepreneurs in the room today who some are operating at the ownership level, some are, you know, providing services already to international oil companies and service companies, whether, for example, like Onkuya, it's a communications company that's doing a great job for the oil companies in Namibia. So definitely local content, it's not a new story. We've been working at it. We've been managing our expectations as a country. Through the platform, Namibia International Energy Conference that I host, that's always been a key conversations. Also managing expectations and preparing Namibian entrepreneurs to participate in the space, to educate themselves, to capacitate themselves, and also talking to the financial institutions in the country to make sure that these local companies are being supported. Just to add to that, women in Namibia, you know, have been at the forefront of the energy sector. We have Madam Petroleum Commissioner, Maggie Shino. We have our Deputy Minister. We have Vicky Sibea.
We're always in a better place when the women take over.
Yes. No, it's all about collaboration. But it's also, we want to also see women at ownership level. We want to see women owning service companies. So I urge the international companies, service companies, for meaningful partnerships, not just window dressing. And I just have to call it what it is. We have something to contribute. We have, you know, an educated population. They are willing to learn. And yeah, we're very excited because this can transform our country. It can really transform a nation of 3 million people. But education, capacity building, local content, Namibian content, as our minister termed it, is critical to ensuring that we unlock the full potential. And just to add to that, we also, you know, as a nation, going towards an energy mix. So it's not only just about oil and gas, it's also about the renewable energy space and this traction in both spaces. So yeah, we're very excited. I don't know what else you want to ask me, Verna.
No, that's absolutely. I'm not going to put you on the spot. That's
Thank
absolutely
you.
fine. Marcia, let me take it to another level. I mean, a lot of the projects and the drilling that we're seeing is all Orange Basin based, or predominantly Orange Basin based. But of course, I heard Maggie speak about, you know, the Walvis Basin, Luderis Basin. What else is there that, you know, we need to know?
Okay, I apologize. I want to break the protocol. I'll be walking because it's very hard to be there and look for my back. Okay? Geology has a saying that the past is the secret of the future. We don't have time, Selma. We have to start with the training capacitation 3, 4, 5 years ago. Maggie, when we came here in 2010, Maggie went to Petrobras. Selma went to Petrobras, not the Selma, Anthony and Sibea. And look where they are. Capacitation, training. Namibia has a huge potential, but we don't have time. Africa doesn't have time. And we have guys old like me, full of energy. I'm 71. Do you believe it? 50 years in the oil industry. I live in Brazil when Brazil has nothing. And what's happened? We discover Campos Basin. Campos Basin is Namibia. Turbidite concept, correct, Magda? And then we explode. There was not more in the South Atlantic. Robert knows that. But finish. And I participate because the head of all the laboratories, and we went to the pre-salt, and we exploded. Brazil today is the 6th largest producer. Then I came to Namibia. I dreamed with Namibia, Maggie knows that, in 2003. And I bring Charlotte with Adonis, Kathy, Dwayne, and I dream, and I never forget my dream. Left Petrobras, put my company, we came here in 120 days, Minister. We drilled 3 wells, and we changed Namibia because we discovered light oil, breaking the paradigm of gas, correct? All the blocks, Mopane, so was our blocks. But the greedy of people do not allow me to finish my legacy. I'm back. I'm back. The oil and gas potential for Namibia is for the Namibians. They need our help, but we are coadjuvants. The stars must be Namibians, quickly, because after finishing pre-salt, the resources, you know, you're a manager of a bank. The resource changed to Guyana, correct? People forget Brazil, everybody in Guyana. Then for God's sake, Total, Shell, and Galp, that was my partner with 10% of Mopane, they get courage. But they only come after breaking the gas paradigm and see that you have the source of kudu. And we have to praise them. Fantastic. We don't have to go to the big guys. Meg is a big woman. Sibeya is a big woman. Selma is a big woman. And now we have this guy. We don't need the big ones. Do you? Look where Robert is. Look that. Then, sorry, 2 seconds.
No problem.
Okay?
2 seconds.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the following. We have a huge potential. Then, Minister, I like what you said here. We don't have time because Suriname is there. Brazil, Petrobras, is looking for equatorial margin that is the same system of Namibia, turbidites of upper Cretaceous, and Pelotas, that's the other side of the Atlantic. Then let's put us together. Training immediately, capacitation. The secret is capacitation. Potential you have. And you ask a question that now I answer.
Yes.
There is no Orange Basin. There is no Luderix Basin. Orange is a river. Luderix is a river. Valve is a city. The entity, the geological entity is the same. Valve is a little bit more because you have more carbonates, more hungry basin, let's say like that. But it's the same. And trust, you can write. The future, the biggest future of Namibia is not orange. Up north. Thank you.
Well, Peter, I don't expect you to go on in the same way Marcio went, but ultimately, what he's been talking about has a lot to do with what you do at TGS. So what are you really doing and what are you seeing?
Thank you, Werner. That is an impossible act to follow, so I'll try. First of all, thank you, Werner, and it's a pleasure to be on this panel in such an important time for Namibia. As you already alluded to, Namibia is the hotspot at this point in time for hydrocarbon investment, and that's only been made reality with all the discoveries we see in the Orange Basin, and that not only tells us the geology works, but it also tells us that we have an incredible amount of untapped potential. and underneath Namibian's waters, and that is extremely exciting.
Do you mind just holding the mic just closer?
Of course I will. So TGS, what is TGS doing? So first of all, TGS is the energy data company. In short, what we're doing and what we're doing here and everywhere else in the world, but we acquire, we image, we interpret, and where applicable, we license this data to any investor who is interested in Namibia. That is the short of it. We acquire in Namibia. It's an extraordinarily harsh environment, but we're very well set up for that. And our technology, everyone knows the big ramform vessels, they are perfectly set up for that. Secondly, I think we are dealing with an extraordinarily complex subsurface, and these geologies, these incredibly complex settings, they need high quality data. High quality data simply because very subtle variations will make absolutely big differences when we're talking about structural or stratigraphic elements. But, and I come back to what Marcio's just said, it's high quality data, but it's high quality data at the right time. And that is absolutely critical. It's absolutely critical here. So what are we doing? We are, as Maggie already alluded to, we are working and reworking the data we already have, the 2D and the 3D data. The latest is what we call our 2D cube data set, which is a very elegant way of looking at a 3D volumetric thing based on the 2D regional data we have. And then I'll finalize, what we're also looking at is obviously new investments on the 3D side, going from the Orange Basin, taking the success from the Orange Basin and go further north. Look at Lüderitz, look at Walvis.
Yes, and I just wanted to follow up on that. Is you are reprocessing some of the data that is already existing in Namibia. Correct. Are we seeing new leads, new stuff which people are going to be very interested in?
Absolutely. New technology is the key to rapidly extract more of what we have, and that is critical.
They transform 2D in 3D. They did a cluster. Yesterday I was with them. Brilliant stuff.
And another thing I need to ask you, in terms of pricing around accessing data, which is I wouldn't say an impediment, but it's a challenge which some of the mid-sized and smaller guys need to get. Are we seeing new ways of being able to reprice, remodel, and give out that data in that sense, including people, of course, like African NOCs, like NAMCO?
Absolutely, it's a fair point, and we're always looking at how to best address that. And every market is different, and we need to adapt to the market and to make sure that the right data is in the right hands at the right time.
Okay, thank you about that. Let me come to you, Miguel. I think you're one of the beneficiaries of what is going on in Namibia, certainly smiling to the bank. SLB, for the right reasons as well. I mean, SLB has been a significant name in the industry. I know, certainly just looking at your calendar and always trying to reach you and saying, no, I'm on my way, I'm on the road in Namibia, shows how much time you spend in Namibia and how much is going on there. But what I wanted to come was people development. Selma was talking significantly about how you are able, how she thinks we're able to get young Namibians to be able to be participants. What is your thought? I know that you have on your rigs, we had a conversation earlier, and you have Nigerians, you have Cameroonians, you have Angolans who are doing a lot of the work on the rigs, including, of course, Namibians, like you said. But how are you looking at getting even more Namibians trained to be able to take up those engineering positions, those drilling and those technical positions on the rigs?
Thank you, Werner. Good morning, everyone. So if you would have asked me the question after Marcio, I would probably challenge myself to step up, but I missed the opportunity.
You can still stand.
I'm joking. Yeah. You can beat Marcio on that one. No, great question. So I would like to start by saying that in 2022, during the Namibia Energy Conference, we made a pledge. Actually, it goes in alignment with the manifesto that the minister mentioned previously. We made the pledge of by when the development of Namibia comes, which by all accounts we're talking 27, 28, between 27 and 29, that I would like to have that we would have our workforce to be 70% made of Namibians, and of which 45% would be female.
Oh.
So with that,
so 70% of Namibians, that's by when? What are the timelines?
I would say the range of 27 to 29.
2027 to 2029. And I heard you say 55% are going to be female?
So 70% Namibians, 45 female.
55 or
45.
45. Okay, sorry.
45 female, and the clock started clicking at that point.
Wow.
This back then we had about 12 employees. Today we have a workforce of about more than 70 people.
So please, ladies and gentlemen, next year I'll have Miguel on this same panel, and I'll be asking him where we are with respect to this particular. But please to give SLB and Miguel an applaud. I think that's a great commitment.
Yeah, so if I may continue, like I mentioned, the clock started there. We had less than 15 employees. Today we have more than 70 employees, of which makes up about 35 to 40% of workforce, depending on activity level. Yeah, of which I have to say that the 70% we were very focused on hiring people that will be doing engineering work. Out of these, we are 25 of which are either engineers or service technicians, and 4 of these technicians that we hired over the last 2 years broke out as fully trained and competent engineers that are running jobs for the operators in the country. I had the pleasure to be on a rig on the 25th of October and managed to meet 4 of these bright and young engineers that are really in a line of fire, acquiring data, running cement jobs, monitoring fluids and writing history that is absolutely amazing that we are going through today. So very proud of what we are doing on the human development.
Werner, just one point.
Yes, Marshall.
45 years ago, with 25 years old, I was the head of Petrobras Laboratories. 75% was females. Okay, we are in the world of females, my friend. We have to get the people, I praise you, by talent. Who is the, look here.
Yes, but Marcio, I agree with you. It should not just be on the rigs. It should be in all our African governments. We need more female, we need more women, we need to continue to push more.
They are here, and I think that in the world today is different. Trump won.
The challenge is on us.
It's different.
The challenge is on us. We can see that SLB and Miguel have started.
No, I praise him. He's a courageous guy. He's courageous. But we have to say not 45. Let's always say equal.
No, we are very...
Minimum.
We are very, very committed to the pledge that we've made. And as I said, we are in a very challenging environment, deep water environment with limited bed space, challenging opportunity to put young technicians and engineers to go and get training. But we've made very good strides. And I have to say, it's our commitment, but it's above all the support that we have from the customers, from the operators across Namibia. Because without them, we would not have the opportunity to put these talents on site, which today, with very complex environment that we are drilling, limited bed space, is very easy to say that we don't have the room there to accommodate. So, and I have to praise the 4 operators that we operated with have been very, very instrumental in collaborating with us to allow us to have these people on site to be trained.
Talking about limited bed space, I'm going to come to Cohen in that sense. You are with AGL, and certainly in the logistics, which plays a significant role in terms of making sure that a lot of these projects actually work. I'm not going to ask you to make the same commitment, but certainly we're happy if at all you were going to announce any kind of commitment around women and the workforce in that sense. But more importantly, in terms of what I wanted to hear from you was about, Namibia's energy hub and your plans with respect to that. Logistics, like I say, plays a significant role in reducing cost oil and helps ultimately the entire industry as well as the government in terms of positioning itself. What is AGL? What is your vision as AGL looking at the sector and looking at what is going on?
Thank you. Yes, so as AGL, energy transition in Africa is one of our main pillars of development. As AGL, we do provide services on a truly Pan-African level to oil and gas companies, but also to the renewable energy sectors. We have, I believe, a very good example in Namibia, actually, that we have started earlier in the year. We have signed a long-term commitment towards the Namibian authorities with Namport to sign a 30-year deal in the port for a 60,000 square meter.
Which port?
Sorry, in Walvis Bay, where we will be having operations going on for the next 30 years with a commitment of investment of a multi-million euros investment that we will do there. And that's not just as AGL. We work through local partnerships. We have a local partner in our entity there for, to come back to what you were saying earlier, a Namibian in there, and we will be, for example, the contracting to build the warehouse that we will build inside the port, which will be a unique setup, is fully locally contracted. So nothing will be coming from outside. We will have local contractors working on it. We will as well make sure that we have, as AGL, we have the terminals that we operate for oil and gas outside of Namibia already today.
Do we know where that is going to be? I know Maggie was clearly stating we're looking at Luderitz as the hub in that sense. You're talking about terminals. I know you've taken a position in Walvis Bay.
We're also looking at Luderitz.
Okay.
Of course, that is ongoing. So we have, apart from, let's say, Walvis Bay, we have another commitment from the group to set up a specific entity providing the services to the oil industry in Namibia. And that will be, again, through a local partnership, upskilling the people that we have in Namibia today. To answer your question, 98% of our workforce in Africa is fully African. And when it comes to female, we are above 50% in the countries in Africa. So it's a commitment, a long-term commitment. We believe in Africa, since we talk about invest in Namibia. I believe we have shown that we can commit ourselves to the long term. I believe that's important for the people to understand that there is opportunities when you're working with the local partners, with the people that are there in Namibia. So we are fully committed to that.
Thank you for that.
Very sorry. Yesterday we signed an NDA with them, AGL, that we talk that we want to go to Luderitz. I have a port in Brazil, and yesterday we talked about that. I don't know what's yours, Gregory.
Gregory, yes.
Yes.
I don't know if he's in the room.
And
yes.
we signed an NDA, and we want to put a port in Luderitz. It's easy, it's close, and fuel and time is critical.
Marcio, you are an expert in everything. But
no, but it's not excellent. This is
in
investing
the
in
logistics
Namibia.
side of it.
We came to invest in Namibia.
I agree. I actually agree with you. But Roland, there's a reason why I ended up with you, because ultimately we can be talking about a lot of these different things. But what is important is, is the Namibian economy ready to absorb all of this? What is actually going to be the impact? I know you're an economist, so what do you see from where you stand? Is this something which is ultimately going to bring all the expected benefits in that sense, in terms of the way the industry is structured and in terms of what you're looking at? Are the banks ready? Selma was talking about banking finance. Are the insurance companies ready? Are the tax authorities ready? What do you see? What needs to be done as well to be able to make sure that we actually get economic impact? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what is important.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for the invite and all of the contributions. I too won't parade around here if you don't mind. Our company does a lot of research. We've got the biggest private research team in the country, and we advise basically all of the large corporates, or almost all of the large corporates in the country, on economic and political and socioeconomic matters, and including a lot of big global investors. And this question is one that I think is very prominent now in the country. So I think the first thing that we have to recognize is that the ministry, the minister, Maggie, Namco and their team have done a fantastic job of hooking all of these large and, in some instances, slightly less large fish. But the big challenge now is in this process of landing these fish, and if the industry will allow me, the subsequent process of cooking and frying these fish. So that's really the big question that we sit with at the moment. And a portion of the equation on this is the license to operate in the country from the general public. And I think that's something that we've talked about fairly extensively around local content, and certainly this is one of the things that the general public demands or wants of the industry. The other side of the equation here, of course, is also the fiscal regime and how fiscal revenues from the industry plan to be utilized. And I think there's a lot more focus on local content than on the fiscal revenues at this point, which I think is a mistake because just the royalty part of the fiscal revenues is, say, $3 to $4 a barrel, whereas on the local content side, we expect it to be quite a bit less. And it will obviously take time to develop that local content side of things. So the license to operate is really the big question, and I think that this is the question, from the general public. This is the question that, in our view, still remains a little bit unanswered, and that's really where we see the kind of risk at the moment. So, because we advise on political matters, I think I was asked just to mention one or two minor things here, and now that the altogether less important elections in the US are behind us, we can talk a bit about the very important Namibian elections. And with these elections coming up, we've seen the launch of all manner of manifesto from various different parties, some more credible than others. And what we see reverberating through all of these manifestos really is a question around how will you utilize and how will you develop this oil and gas space. And this is really a very prominent point at this point in time. There's also obviously developments in the green hydrogen space and so on that are getting quite a lot of attention. But the big question really at the moment is how will this oil and gas space develop and how will these benefits derive or come through to Namibians? The critical thing there, if you just give me 1 second, the critical thing there is that with our elections coming up, and we're the only people that have really good data on this, with our elections coming up, it is going to be increasingly difficult for government to legislate. This is, I won't go into more detail on that, you can read into it what you will, but it is going to be increasingly difficult to legislate. So this is something that will be a big focal point going forward, and there's likely to be quite a lot of back and forward and quite a lot of debate on future legislation in this space.
Certainly, a lot of interesting points there. How revenues are utilized, I'm sure is not just an issue with the oil and gas sector, certainly one as well with mining and all sorts, tourism and whatever, so it's certainly nothing which we haven't seen. There have been calls for, all sorts of measures to be able to ensure that people can pretty much, but I'm sure, like you say, that after the elections, there's still going to be a new wave of questions around how the industry is structured overall. Let me go to Maggie and say, we have been talking overall about what is. I think there is a next phase of, new entrants which is going to come into Namibia in terms of looking at wanting to be part of it. When you sit as the regulator looking at the industry and you have had this first phase, what are you looking for in terms of new entrants in the market? What kind of profile? What do they need to be aware of if at all they're coming to Namibia? There was a past before the major discoveries, and there is a now looking at how you want to position and restructure yourself. So what are you looking for? Who should come? Can I come?
Definitely. What we are looking for as a country, we are cognizant and aware of the complexity of our subsurface, but we are also aware of the great untapped potential and the vast size that we need to cover if we are to deliver that resources timely. We are also aware of the climate sensitivity and the need for us to move at a very fast pace. So because of that, we are looking for a diversity of players. We are looking for small independent companies that are nimble and fast enough to move, but we are also looking for those big boys to come in and provide the muscle and the energy and the finance and the capital that is required for the team to work. But all in all, it's a very complex environment, very challenging, very deep water, and it needs a lot of resources, not only financially, but technically. So we are looking for companies that are able to bring technological innovative solutions that we can apply today and be able to roll tomorrow. What we're looking for a number of wells to be drilled. We're looking for a lot of wells to be drilled. We have very large blocks.
Is that going to be part of the minimum commitment that you're requesting from people to be able to drill?
We are looking for work programs that will accelerate the time to discoveries. And that you can only do by drilling wells. And in order for you to be able to drill smart wells, you need skills and you need expertise and you need innovation and you need to put all this in a basket and you need finance and you need all to put this all in a basket to be able to explore. We have a number of blocks, large blocks that are out, that are licensed. I think 90% of our license holders are in this room. We thank for opportunities like this for the Africa Energy Chamber that they provided. Make deals this week.
I like that.
Farm in, farm out, and come in. But we are also looking for anybody out there who has an innovation that need to be tried, that can enable us to be able to move those work programs faster, to come in. What we are offering as a country, we are offering you peace, we are offering you stability, we are offering you sanctity of contract, and a very conducive environment where your return on your investment, we can guarantee you through our regulatory environment. But we also offering you our partnership. We want to work together. So everybody, including Werner.
So the key thing I'm hearing is everybody's welcome, but make sure that you come with the technical capacity and the right kind of financing to be able to make sure that you can take on what is a challenging but very rewarding geography.
Absolutely.
Okay. Epson, let me come to you, and this has been very upstream dominated in that sense. But the one thing that NAMCO has is also a midstream and a downstream view of the way they look at strategically positioned in the region as well. Can you give us a little bit of a view? I know there's been talk around restructuring with respect to NAMCO, but can you give us a brief view when you look at the midstream side of things and the downstream side of things, what you guys are planning and thinking at NAMCO?
Thank you very much. Ideally, when you have got a national oil companies, you want to find yourself in all the streams to add value. But what we need to recognize is that sometimes one faces resource limitation at any point in time. Because of the resource limitation, then you have to make choices, and difficult choices for that matter. And when you are making those choices, they should be made now to refocus, to repurpose, where you could think that you could really make a quick impact. And as far as NAMCOR is concerned, our sense is that we need to refocus on the upstream, because that's where our capacity is needed, that's where we need to build skills, that's where we need to build capacity in terms of technology. That's in essence where we are focusing possibly for the next 5 to 10 years to make sure that we fully consolidate ourselves. As I mentioned, that there is no way that we can gain operatorship if we don't refocus and we spread ourselves all over. We recognize that to add value, you need to be across the whole spectrum because that's the entire value chain. But upstream at this point in time is very critical. Then the next focus for us will be the midstream. As we are getting this oil, as Maggie have just mentioned, out of the ground, we have to think about the value addition in a local economy, and that's where the local content is kicking in, and that's where we can also do beneficiations for the benefit of the country and for the benefit of the economy. The sense is that as we are getting this oil, it's not just oil should be taken and lent anywhere else. We want the oil and gas to lend into our soil, into Namibia. I think that will be very critical. For us
Are there
to
any
be able
concrete
to grow.
plans? Are there any concrete plans? Because what I'm hearing is ultimately refineries. What I'm hearing is gas to power. In terms of what it is that you're talking, are there any concrete plans and outlook with respect to that?
For instance, like in terms of gas, as we know that almost in all the world you will find gas, and we are busy trying to come up with a gas monetization plan.
Okay.
I think that is very critical, and gas monetization plan then it includes its technical viability, financial, and eventually, possibly also common infrastructure. I think that will make now the lending of the gas more cost effective. And if you do so, that can also help you, because if you look into the continent, we face the problem of electricity is a challenge and power is a challenge. So if we could get gas, lend it onshore, we are likely to produce an affordable electricity that will not only be for Namibia, but also for the entire region. And that can help to grow the industry and industrialization of the entire region in Africa as a whole. Because if you look at the cost of electricity, it constitutes quite a significant component of the cost. And I think our preoccupation is to ensure that we bring that cost down to improve the competitiveness of the country.
Thank you. Robert, let me come to you. Like we spoke, your current model has been very successful, but we see a changing industry in that sense. So are we going to see a shift, a change, or an evolving of the current Sintana model? You might be looking at other countries. What are we looking at here?
There's only Namibia, Werner. That's it. That's the only place. But we must evolve. You know, we must evolve. As you've quite rightly pointed out, the industry is in a state of a high degree of evolution and change very quickly. And in order for us to continue to be relevant and to be able to be successful in the mission we have, which is to deploy our resources in a way which maximizes their impact, we must evolve. And as to, you know, what that path specifically is, you know, I couldn't tell you today, but we are certainly, given the platform we have in Namibia, in terms of on-the-ground resources, country manager, you know, community access, the ability to continue to deliver to them the opportunities that this industry creates is something we're very focused on. And so trying to think about, you know, what we're good at, how to stay on mission, but continue to evolve with the industry is very critical for us. So it's a work in progress, I guess I would say, but I can tell you that it remains front of mind, and most importantly, what we are focused on is ensuring that everything we do generates the highest impact in country, and you know, as I said, there's only Namibia for us.
Okay, there's only Namibia for Sintana at the moment, at least in Africa. Selma, let me come to you and say, you talked briefly a little bit about partnerships, but what kind of partnerships are we looking at? I mean, and I'm asking with respect to your experience. Are we looking at North-South partnerships, South-South? Angola, for example, has 1 million barrels under production on a daily basis. A lot of local content has been developed in Angola, for example. Are we looking increasingly at Namibia-Angolan partnerships, or are we looking, you know, pretty much at having expertise from other places? Of course, Brazil, for example, where there is a lot of know-how with respect to the industry. What are you seeing from your experience?
From my experience, especially in terms of, you know, being a convener of the Namibia International Energy Conference, we're seeing everyone is in Namibia.
Everyone is.
Everyone is in Namibia. We, you know, it is the global hotspot at the moment. There's a lot of conversations and collaborations from a regional perspective. I think Angola and Namibia had signed an MOU, I think around capacity building. We have Mr. Marcio Melos looking at me here, Brazil.
Okay.
Apparently. So we're seeing all countries, Canadian companies, with, you know, French companies, American companies. So it's literally everyone is in the country. I think the most important thing is just maybe to focus on, you know, value-adding partnerships. You know, just to also not do a copy and paste approach when doing business in Namibia. We have we are a unique country. We have, we can learn definitely from other regions in terms of what to do, what not to do. But I think it's very important to have, not do a copy and paste approach. We are, our historical context must be taken into account. The inequalities, the challenges should be taken into account as well. And I think the partnerships that are working, where it's a very collaborative environment between the public and private sector. If there is any challenges or issues, the Ministry of Mines and Energy, NAMCO, local partners are willing to sit at the table, from my experience advising clients entering the country. Also, it's very easy in terms of impact. I always go back to impact. This industry can really solve a lot of the challenges we are facing from an infrastructure perspective, from the inequality perspective, from education. It's easy to be a catalyst because of the small population. So in terms of partnership, I mean, everyone is welcome to Namibia. I'm sure Madam Shino will agree with me. But the whole thing is it value adding?
Is it value adding?
Is it value?
And everyone is welcome to Namibia, is what Selma is saying.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we're a friendly nation. We've always been.
Okay.
Yes, and a stable nation as well.
A friendly, stable nation,
yes.
And everybody is welcome to Namibia. Marcia, I mean, I'm coming to you. I know Selma was referencing you. We need to see more Brazilians. How do we see more Brazilians? There's a significant service industry in Brazil in that sense. We don't want to see only Marcia, we want to see more.
No.
What do we need to do?
Yeah, well, I was surprised because I behaved very badly. I was not expecting call me back, okay? I never left Namibia. I have been, since I came here 20 years ago, I still here. We are not coming here as an oil and gas company. If you call us Namibia Energy Corporation, you cannot be an exploration country without infrastructure, and you know that. I talk with you, I talk with the minister. We are coming here as neck and neck. Namibia Energy Corporation and Namibia Infrastructure Corporation, but together. Then we are coming here, and the first point, and I praise you, we are putting already with an encore, but my friend here is very reservative. 6 months ago, we say we'll bring a center of excellence here, correct? For training, we're bringing laboratories for oil and gas and mining. We are bringing port. We're bringing a vessel fleet. We are bringing with partners everything that we learn in Brazil for 50 years. Brazil, 50 years ago, was Namibia. We didn't have anything. We produced 75,000 barrels a day. And look at Brazil today. And we're the same culture, we're the same people. Why you cannot do the same here?
So very easy. But the question was, what do we need to do to get more Brazilians to come? Not just Marcia.
They already come. Petrobras are here with 20 people. They talk with Maggie, they talk with Nancor, correct? Petrobras is here. I brought Petrobras, I brought out companies, but we have to be humble. We have to be, it's time to talk, to plan. I am a PhD. No, PhD molecular geochemist, no, I am a PhD. Because I don't have time to be D. My time is to do. And I brought Petrobras. The guys Petrobras here put the hand off.
I think your PhD, you've been hanging out. I think you've been hanging out so much with NJ because he's always talking about PhDs and not PhDs. Peter, let me finish up with you, in terms of your outlook. What do you see? Because ultimately, everything goes through guys like you. And post the merger, I think you have a really huge position in the market. What do you see in terms of the outlook for data acquisition and to be able to ensure, like Maggie says, to be able to reduce the time from when people start looking at assets to production?
Thanks, Werner. Yes, what do I see? Obviously, I don't have the crystal ball here, but From our side, we are always very much involved at the very beginning of the exploration cycle. It's an important cycle to get that right. From our side, at this point, as I said earlier, we've seen the successes in Orange Basin. We need to go further north, and that's where Namibia will benefit. That's where our whole industry will benefit. And I'll keep it very concise, and I'll come back to what Maggie built on. Yes, we need the right data. We need the right data at the right time for Namibia to be successful, and that is critical because the data is needed to make sure we are successful. And then then we can come back. If we have the data, then I'll come back to NJ's slogan: have the right data, and then drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill from TGS. That's pretty much fine. I know we're short of time. If you don't mind, let me try and pretty much get Miguel in terms of what you are looking at. I know you talked a lot about employment and employment, but beyond that there is supplier development in that sense, and there's also an impact into the communities beyond the fact that you're the technology company, as you call yourself. What are you guys doing with respect to supplier development to look and target entrepreneurs rather than just individual employees?
Yes, I'm mindful of time indeed. So we are looking at the business holistically. I mentioned about the pillar on the people development, where we, in our sustainability roadmap, we're also focusing on building and integrating the local entrepreneurs into our value chain. So we started with, in 2021, 2022, as I mentioned, we had about 15 companies registered in our supplier base. Today we have about 100 or so, of which more than 70 do daily interactions with us. So it's a exponential growth since we started. And as we register these suppliers, we've been very targeted to ensure that we're in alignment with Namibian legislation. There's particularly in relation to the PDN, the previously disadvantaged Namibians, as well as ensuring that some of the businesses that are coming to work with us are women-owned and also geographically spread. So initially we were only focused on, because our office was in Windhoek and Walvis Bay, we only had suppliers from these two regions, so we diligently are going to places like Ludritz to ensure that we're also bringing suppliers from Ludritz there. These suppliers, they vary from the normal supply of services, transportation and things of that sort, to really core suppliers, such as an example that I'd like to highlight was a local entrepreneur that built our explosive bunker, which is quite high-end, which they had to go through a very rigid process to implement. Additionally, we also, going back to the community, lots of projects that we have with community. In partnership with Total and LSS last year, we worked on a secondary school in Ludritz. We built water wells in the northern part of Namibia where there's a lot of drought, which benefit more than 5,000 people. So these are just some examples of many, many actions that we're doing across the country.
Thank you very much for that one. Kern, let me come to you. Last word as well from yourself. What do we need to see to reduce the cost of logistics in the market? I mean, it's obvious that from an oil and gas perspective, the logistics costs are still significantly high.
So what we believe is very important indeed is what we want to use is our Pan-African knowledge, know-how that we've built up over many years to put that at the disposal here to Namibia and use it to build up the infrastructure, which he was mentioning a bit earlier there, is to say we need proper infrastructure. Is it from ports? Is it logistics bases? We have a lot of knowledge in Africa, which we want to use as the best practice in Namibia with our local partners here. So in logistics is a big cost when it comes to operations in the oil and gas business. And we believe we have an innovative solutions for that, proven and trustworthy solutions in Africa. And we want to make sure that Namibia can benefit from that as well and build up the capacity in Namibia.
Okay, final word from you, Ro.
Thanks a lot. I think from the Namibian side, the opportunities are very clearly there, and it's how we utilize them. So the industry is clearly very, very open and trying to assist Namibia, and it's on the Namibian side to be receptive and to ensure that we take advantage as best we can while leaving a fair deal on the table for all of these investors.
Any key things that people in the industry coming outside need to be, need to take note when making decisions around capital deployment?
Yeah, I think Namibia is a very two-tier economy. So we've got world-class skills, expertise, services, etc. And then we've got another portion of the economy that's very left behind. And so looking at how we bridge that gap over the next 10, 15, 20 years, that we don't end up with heightened inequality, heightened sort of concentration of wealth and opportunity and so on is very important. And this is where fiscal regime, utilization of fiscal revenues is so important. This is where local content is so important, looking at practical ways that one can bridge these gaps.
Last word to my sister Selma.
Thanks, Werner. I just want to invite everyone to attend the Namibia International Energy Conference.
Can you please speak into the mic? When are we coming to Namibia?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you very
okay,
well.
Great. Yeah, I just want to extend an invitation for people who are interested in Namibia to attend the Namibia International Energy Conference from the 23rd to 25th of April 2025 in Windhoek.
So 23rd to 25th?
23rd to 25th April 2025.
Of April 2025, we're going to be dancing in Windhoek.
We'll be having serious conversations
and doing
around
deals.
the theme, leading the way towards becoming an energy hub with in-country value.
And eating, what will we be eating?
Great food, lots of good meat.
Okay, thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. A hand of applause to my panel, please.